All right, we continue our world tour. What a perfect place to kick off the holiday week. And if you have family and friends coming back to Aliquippa, you need to come to the B.F. Jones Library, National Register since 1978. Much more than just books, and we're going to show you some things throughout the next few videos that I think you're going to find to be fantastic. This guy right here is the reason why I fell in love with the model railroad industry many, many years ago. His name is Ed Murphy. Former steel worker and of course a dear friend, he and his lovely wife, of course, behind the brand here. I want to talk about what they have done with this room, and I think you will find each and every one of these cases so significant, it will pique your interest to where you're going to want to get to Franklin Avenue over the holiday season. Mr. Murphy, good to see you again. And of course, Dave Buffalini filming, so let's take a walk through and show these individual cases. Go ahead.
Very good. The first case here is pretty much dedicated to Jones and Laughlin, and those are artifacts that we have managed to collect over the last 25 or 30 years, from dinnerware to publications to everything you might want to see.
All right, next case over here, if you will. And again, the B.F. Jones Memorial Library is a gathering place. It is such an anchor to this community. And of course, it's an amazing nonprofit. That's one of the reasons why they're having the Holly Jolly Christmas concert that Dave's going to be telling you about. So up next, go ahead.
Up next is a case attributed to the community. We've got Golden Jubilee things, and long before there was a town here, there was a park, an amusement park that was built by the P&LE Railroad, and several of the artifacts in here are from the park. The park closed in 1907. And there's just a number of other things relative to the businesses that had been in the community over the years.
Entertainment, you think of Henry Mancini, who grew up in West Aliquippa, actually wrote Moon River because of his memory growing up, looking at the full moon glistening over the Ohio River. But you think of Jimmy Ross, the Jaggers, and more. So this is dedicated to entertainment, and we have one dedicated to sports. Tell them about it, Mr. Murphy.
Yes, indeed. The one for entertainment, we don't have a lot of information yet, but we have Henry Mancini, obviously, and Mr. Lettieri, and Jimmy Ross and the Jaggers. And we're looking to do some work with Melvin Steels. I spoke with him the other day, and he is going to potentially give us a lot of information and things that he has done over time. And next is sports, and we have things from the 4 Hall of Fame football players that belong to Aliquippa. Ty Law, Darrell Rivas, the most recent, and we have something from Verquan Kimbrough, who was a championship boxer. And in addition to the sports things in these cases, we have collected together some military artifacts from Aliquippa folks that I call heroes, that were all Purple Heart recipients, which is really a fantastic story about each one of those guys.
All right, come on over and have a seat, Mr. Murphy, but I would not be able to go to Ditka's restaurant and enjoy a good steak because of Pat McDonald over the coach. So come over here. I want to show this. Yes, exactly where I was headed, Mr. Murphy. One of my lifelong friends, truly a man amongst men, a class act. He and Pat McDonald, of course, Ditka's up there in Robinson. Just absolutely love that guy, who he is, what he stands for. And he may have been a member of the high school class that he graduated from in the 50s, but he is still as plugged in today about his hometown as ever. All right, so you sit there, I'll sit here. And Dave, if you will, let's just do a couple more moments here with Mr. Murphy. How can people help keep this library doing these things? What's the best way?
Well, obviously the library always needs contributions of financial interest. That's always an important thing. But this area that we're talking about has special collections. My goal is to have enough stuff that I can rotate it, and several times during the year have speakers come in that represent the cases, and have them do symposiums and seminars, principally for the young people in Aliquippa, because all of the things that we've just looked at, for instance, the sports, I mean, Darrell Rivas didn't get to the Hall of Fame by doing nothing, or Ty Law, or Mike Ditka, or Tony Dorsett. I mean, they all work extremely hard to get where they are, as is the folks that are the Purple Heart recipients I mean, they were all very successful people in their own right. And I think if we get people to come in and look at that and contribute those kind of things, because obviously we don't know everything and everybody that can contribute to us.
We're both fans of industry. We were talking moments ago about the cracker plant and what it has done for this region. But he brought up something about the Heinz History Center. I want to talk about connect why this city and the cracker plant have a lot in common, going back to the days of J&L and 1907 when this whole thing started. Woodlawn, we talked about it many times on the radio. What is happening with 72 Steel, building that incredible steel mill along the Ohio River, something I don't think I've been more excited about. I can't even recollect. That's probably one of the most, other than the cracker plant, when it comes to manufacturing and industry in Beaver County, 72 Steel coming to Aliquippa is a lifelong dream come true for me. But let's talk about my friend Eddie Masick, CEO, President, Heinz History Center, and how B.F. Jones Memorial Library has become affiliated with them.
Well, a gentleman and two of their volunteers asked us if they could come out just to meet and talk about B.F. Jones Library. We're the district center for Beaver County, and we had no idea what their intent or their purpose was to be here. But they came in and we started to talk about just libraries in general and where are they headed and what are people doing to prevent the decline and the disappearance of public libraries. And we started to talk about the history of Aliquippa and the history of the sports and all of the things that Aliquippa has that other communities just don't have. And the more we talked, the more excited the Heinz History Center representative got about what's here. And they have offered us everything at their disposal to help us with presentations to a point where they will counsel us on the right way to do it, the wrong way to do it. And just those kind of things. We did one so far, and it was a gentleman who is an expert on the B.F. Jones family, and he did a 1-hour presentation on the life and times of Benjamin Franklin Jones, which was absolutely fascinating. And that's my goal, is to have those kind of things where we can put 50 or 60 or 100 people in this building to listen to things about history and maybe inspire people's interest in, I don't want to say living the past, but a lot of good things happened in the past. Everybody talks about the cracker plant, and it is. It's an impressive, wonderful thing. They broke ground for the first blast furnace in 1907, and they poured the first heat from that blast furnace in 1910. 3 years. How long did it take to build the cracker plant?
You're right.
So, and they didn't have fancy tools and fancy equipment. It was all mules and lots of hard labor to make that happen. And obviously what we're doing today is a wonderful thing. But libraries are significant. We're busy every day. Every day there are folks using computers. Tomorrow morning you won't be able to get in the place for kids. Packed with little ones downstairs. Same thing Thursday, Thanksgiving.
You and your wife take a lot of pride. You really love this community, don't you, Ed?
Well, I like what the library stands for. It's the last link between why the community is here.
Absolute anchor.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing left. If you're not 45 years old, and I say that because my oldest son is 45, he remembers going down to the gate in West Aliquippa with his grandfather, who worked there for 45 years, and he remembers watching the locomotives and the submarine ladles and things like that. My youngest son is 4 years younger. He has absolutely no recollection of anything except abandoned buildings, shortly after which they were all torn down. So that needs to be reinstilled in the kids, that there is a good history here. I mean, that's why you have people like Mike Ditka and Henry Mancini. They grew up in the smoke and the dirt and the dust and all of that kind of business. And good things happened.
I always said, whenever there was a woman sweeping the porch off in the morning or at night at one of these row houses because of the soot from the mill, as long as you knew they were on that porch, that meant people were working.
That's exactly right.
And at one time, over $2 million worth of paychecks were dumped into this community. And at one time, the largest church in the Catholic diocese, St. Titus, was in this community with 5 full-time priests. Sure, times have changed, but there's a lot of good things that continue. Mayor Walker, 72 Steel, we've got that cracker plant, Franklin Avenue, still lots of life, lots of people, some of the best people on the planet. But here's the most important thing. The constant that was there in the beginning because of the Jones family carries on today. Please take time to bring your family to this incredible place where they continue to make history every day. It's your Pratte Pack.